Just thought I'd begin this video by looking at how bad the weather is today. Oh god. Yeah, it's lovely. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Now that I've gotten out of my system and shown you the weather for absolutely no reason, we can get into today's video, which is talking about things I wish I knew about having Ehlers-Danlos syndrome as a chronic illness in college and school. For me, my symptoms kicked off very much around the age of 17, which is 5th and 6th year in Irish secondary schools, and this persisted for my whole college career up until my master's a month ago. So it's been very much impactful. So I wanted to talk about it. Things I wish I'd taken into account, wish I'd known, and wish I had just stopped resisting against, I suppose. But yeah, let's get into it. Thank you so much for being here, and feel free to subscribe and all of that. And I really appreciate you watching, to be honest. Even if you don't have a chronic illness or you don't have EDS or anything like that and you're watching this video, it's very important to acknowledge that that is helpful, because just one less person that you have to justify your health to or a consideration you have to take means so much in life. It means everything, to be honest, and that's basically incredible. So thank you so much for being here if you are a more able-bodied, helpful person. Let's get into it. So I guess the first thing I wish I had known was, this is more key for the Leaving Cert journey, which is our final year exams in secondary school, similar to A-levels or the SATs, I think. I'm not even sure, to be honest. But it is a highly pressured year, 6th year, and I wish I had known that the quantity of studying doesn't mean quality of studying. I was a very academic person, I still am. I really cared about my grades, I really cared about upholding an academic standard. However, now I look back, I see how my health was slipping in terms of amount of chronic pain I was developing. It's very different also to have those experiences and to not have a diagnosis, because you can very much manipulate your own mind into thinking you're imagining it, or it's not that bad a pain, or if it was that bad, a doctor would notice it or take it seriously. So it's very easy to think, well, I should be studying the same hours as everyone else, more really, because it takes more effort for me to focus around this pain, around this exhaustion that I'm feeling from a lack of sleep due to this pain. So what I ended up doing was studying incredibly stupidly long hours. I find it hard though to go back in time, to be honest, to judge that 17-18-year-old self, because she was doing her best, you know, with the information that she had. Part of me just wants to go back in time and hug her and tell her that it'll be fine, even if you just had a lie-in at the weekends or didn't do 12 hours, 18-hour study days, whatever, you know. Those are all very key things I wish I could go back and say, but I know for a fact I wouldn't have listened, because I had no other coping mechanism and no other control around my illness in relation to how it affected my studies. Because without a diagnosis, you're not going to get accommodations, you know, given to you, such as like extensions or maybe a scribe. I could have really done with a scribe. Now I look at the pain in my hands and my wrist would dislocate often and things. I could have really done with all of that, but without a diagnosis, you're not going to get that. So to me, whilst I knew something was wrong with my body, the only physical thing I could possibly do is to keep pushing to get through, because nothing was more important to me than getting to college and keeping up with my friends and staying on the same path that looks normal academically. But I do wish I could say to myself that an extra few hours sleep every night isn't going to make or break my grades critically, because chances are for those few hours that I am studying, I'm not that focused because I'm so tired. But that would be, you know, that would be incredibly handy to be able to go back and say. But at the same time, I think I have learned from that, and nearly seeing how that paid off or didn't, you know, in the long run, because it crippled me further in terms of my health. But yeah, that is a key one. So if you are in 6th year or doing whatever kind of exams, whether it's college exams, any exams, or not even studying, but trying to hold down your job, and you're so fatigued that you're like, why do I need to nap on my lunch hour? Why do I literally shut off the second it gets to 5 o'clock? As a body, why am I shutting down? Just give yourself some grace. Be kind to yourself. You're doing your literal best. And I think that's ultimately what I wish I had, was someone to kind of grip me on the shoulders and make me look in their eyes and say, you're doing your best. And your best is more than enough. And you're giving more than you should ever have to give. So that's pretty impactful for me. So that's number 1. So the number 2 thing I wish I had known, and this is just a study technique, which I learned more in my master's, I guess, and my final year of college, maybe 3rd year, final year of college, was I wish I had learned to study through movement. With EDS, it is very hard to sit all day. It's very hard. It's hard on your lower back, it's hard on your joints, everything seizes, gets stiff, and then when you move, it's more painful. But that being said, if you work in an office job or you're working in the library in college, it's literally not doable to get up all the time and shake out your joints, and sometimes you need to roll on the floor to crack out your spine. You can't do that because it's not part of a social norm. It's not accepted. Even if you have accommodations in your workplace or in college, it's still socially weird, and that's unfortunate. But I do wish I had known that I would study better whilst moving. I'm a very I suppose a movement-based learner. I can associate little lines on a page with the movement I make, whether it was throwing a ball and catching it with another hand, or it was to do with anything really, any kind of movement, even just pacing, marching, repeatedly tapping my hand in the same space as I would say something over and back. I would go just simple movements like this, associated with memorizing. I think I wish I had stopped earlier having the constraints of myself to sit still, because just joints wise, attention wise, regardless, for myself and my personality, that doesn't suit, but pain wise, that's so hard. And to me, I would go through the entire school day and college day sitting very rigidly and trying to be not the fidgety person, not the person who needed to turn around and crack their back or crack their neck in the middle of a test and have people look around and have a bit of a laugh about it. That by the time I would get home in the evenings, I would be so stiff and sore that the actual studying and homework I had to do was so hard. It was so much harder than it needed to be. So I do wish I had considered that. That would have been incredibly handy. However, I do say, you know, I do understand that in college and in school, you can't be moving all the time. It's just not the environment for it. Whether that's correct or incorrect, well, personally, I don't think it's correct. I think we need to have accommodations for all types of people and all types of learners, because not everyone's a very sedentary learner. I would actually say most people aren't. But I remember even in college when I did get accommodations, because I had a diagnosis, I was able to study in the disability section of the library, which basically stopped me having to take the stairs, which, because of my blood pressure issues being so low, was a huge benefit, to be honest, to not have to do 3 or 4 or 5 flights of stairs before I ever sat down to study. But even that section of the library, because it had such a variety of people with disabilities, which was brilliant, don't get me wrong, that was incredible, but it also meant sitting still was still a requirement. Silence was still a requirement. And sometimes in EDS, cracking out your joints is incredibly noisy. It's something I'm so conscious of, and I wish I wasn't so conscious of it, but I am, and it does affect me, to be honest. When I'm even with friends who know why I do it, and it's silent and I need to crack my back or my neck or my wrist or toes even, you know, and I'm just like, this is so uncomfortable. I need there to be a moment when everyone's talking really loudly, or I need to go to the bathroom to do it, or, you know, this kind of thing. So I do think it would be better off if I had spent more time at home, cultivating, studying at home in an environment where I can move as much as I want and keep moving. Sometimes, obviously, you need the academic environment to focus you, but I suppose creating more of a balance between the academic focused environment and the academic focused through movement environment, if that makes sense. So that is pretty key for me. That's my number 2 thing, definitely.